So, welcome back. This video is going to be my second trimester update. And if you're noticing or seeing that I'm in the same outfit, same hairdo, same background, it's because, yeah, I'm recording the videos in the same day. um, these last couple of weeks have been very hectic. Um, we had a few scares. Not a few, just one. Um, yeah, so second trimester, we definitely got on the roller coaster. We ended up finding out what we're having at about 16 weeks. Yes. Was it 16 weeks? Let me think. Hold on. So we found out what we were having at about 16 weeks. We did not know that we were going to find out that soon. We didn't think we were going to find out until about 20 weeks. But because of my history, we were doing, well, the plan was to do the progesterone shots starting at 16 weeks, and then we would do monthly ultrasounds. Um, the reason for this was because I had a 16-week loss and my son was born at 34 weeks. So that's a history of 2 preterm deliveries, labors, whatever you want to call it. So the plan was to be extra cautious and watch out for these things so we'll know, like, as they're happening, what's happening. So at the 16-week ultrasound, of course, we walk in and she gets my weight and then my blood pressure and everything because they check that at every visit. Um, and then, like, we're walking back to the room and she's like, "Are we finding out what we're having today?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Are we?" Like, if we can, yeah. But if not, that's fine too. So, of course, she like checked the length of my cervix and that looked good. So, the cervical check is always done transvaginally. So, what that means is they stick the probe in your vagina and then get the picture that way. And then when they're looking at the baby, more oftentimes they do that just with the Doppler outside of your belly. So she did the cervical check and that looked fine. Everything looked great. My cervix was closed and an appropriate length and all of that. And she, we're doing the scan or whatever. And she, looked at baby's head and she's like, "Okay, I don't want to get your hopes up. We may and may not be able to see what baby is today because he or she may not cooperate. As you know, sometimes babies' legs are crossed or they won't get in a position to where you can see to identify their gender or whatever." So she was just setting the expectations like, "Hey, yeah, you want to find out or we want to find out, but if we can't, we can't, whatever." So we were okay with that because we weren't expecting, like, we didn't go to that appointment expecting to find out anyway. Baby's brain and head and hands and heart and all of that. And then um, she's like, "Okay, we're gonna go down below to see if we can see." And it's on the screen, and I just looked at it and I said what it was, and then you remember mommy and daddy were just at the doctor, right? Guess what?
What?
We found out what kind of baby it is.
What?
That's gonna tell you in the box. So if it's something pink in there, what does that mean?
It's a girl.
And if it's a blue, what does that mean?
It's a boy.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Go ahead and open it up.
Rip.
I see it's blue. It's blue.
So what does that mean?
It's a boy.
It's a boy?
Yes.
Are you excited?
Yes. What?
So what does that mean?
It's a boy.
We're having a boy?
Yeah.
You excited?
Yes.
So of course, in my head, I was having a little girl. Like deep down inside, I thought it was a boy just because a lot of my symptoms were the same. But like I wanted a girl, so I was like, it's a girl. Like we was calling her by her name, like everything. Like we had bought stuff. The My son wanted a girl as well, so we told him like once mommy gets pregnant, we'll allow you to pick out a stuffed animal for your brother or sister so they'll have like when they're born. Like he picked out a pink and white unicorn. Like so like we were dead set that it was a girl. Like you couldn't tell me any different, but that's cuz that's what I wanted. My husband the whole time was like, "No, I want a boy. It's a boy. It's a boy, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "No, you're a hater. It's a girl." Well, well, he was right. So found out it's a boy. Like he he had his legs wide open, showing all his glory. Like here I am. Please stop calling me her name. Like that's not the move. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with two boys? Like I just wanted my little princess. But God had other plans. I didn't complain too much because I mean, you get what you get. You don't throw a fit. Like children are a blessing, and not unfortunately, but we don't always get to choose what we want. In my case, I didn't get to choose because it was literally left up to fate. I didn't um, get to go and pick out which embryos I wanted. So that's fine. I'm not complaining because that's another test in itself. So I'm good with everything. I'm excited about having another son because I mean, boys are. I love my baby. Obviously, I would have loved a little girl just as well, but little boys and their mamas, like that relationship is like you. There's no comparing it. Um, so yeah, so it's a boy. We found that out around June 14th, and we told my son first, just because he was the last to know that we were pregnant. Well, basically the last to know that we were pregnant, meaning our parents and our siblings knew before he did. And we kind of felt bad about that just because it's like, okay, this directly impacts him. Like he's going to have to share everything, and this is something that he wants, and he was basically like one of the last people to know. So we wanted to kind of make it special for him and like do a gender reveal. So we just did something small and simple as you seen in the clip. um but yeah, so we told him, and then we allowed him to call our parents and siblings to tell them what the gender of the child was. And so that was sweet. So of course, yeah, like adjusting to that was, it didn't take long. Like I was fine the next day. I wasn't mad ever, but it's just like, dang, like I was looking forward to, dressing my baby girl up like me and doing hair and buying little frilly dresses and tutus, and like I had literally bought tutus. Shame on me. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm thankful for this little blessing because it is that. Um, so after that ultrasound, nothing really was happening. I did start my injections around the same time. And that first injection, medication gets shipped to you. Or you can either have it shipped to the doctor's office, shipped to the pharmacy, or shipped to you. Well, my doctor has two separate locations. The When I was ordering the medication, I could only find the location where I don't go. So I'm like, okay, let's just send it to the pharmacy because that's easy. It's like they're usually open until 9. They open pretty early. and they'll get it. It'll be good. I didn't want it shipped to the house because it could have potentially had to stay outside. And I don't even think they would have left it outside. So it would have been like a back and forth thing with UPS or USPS, however they send it. So I was just like, let's just send it to the pharmacy. So we had it sent to the pharmacy, and I picked it up, and I didn't even open the bag. Like, I left the bag stapled, closed. I didn't look at it or anything. So when I went to my doctor's office to get the first injection, when I checked in at the registration desk, she's like, "Do you have the medication with you?" And I was like, "Yeah." So she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give this to the nurse so she can go ahead and get the room set up, blah, blah, blah," because it was a teaching appointment. So we were going on vacation the following week, and we were leaving like Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. And the injections were once a week and they had to be done on the same day. Well, the first injection was done on a Thursday, and we were going to be gone 2 Thursdays in a row, which meant that my husband would have to give the injections. So we went in for a teaching appointment. So in this teaching appointment, she, was telling OC how to do the injections and what to look for and all this, that, or the other. So she has like all of this stuff like spread out on a little tray table or whatever. And she like picked up the needle, and I was like, and I just cried and cried and cried and cried. That needle was like, it was literally like this long. And I'm like, how in the world? Like, that is huge. Like, why? Like, and I'm not like afraid of needles or anything, but it just like, it really, like, it scared me. So I was like, oh my God, like, Jesus, this is really gonna hurt. Like, and she was like, do you need a minute? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like, I wasn't expecting that. Like, you don't think about, like, when you think about needles, you don't think about like the biggest needle ever. Like, I'm usually, thinking about like a little bitty needle. Like, that's all you need. Like, heck, I'm smaller now, so I shouldn't need no big old needle. Like, that's go come to the front, like, cause you have to put it in your butt. So I was just like, oh my God. And then she was like, it may hurt a little bit because, like, the solution is thick. It's not like running like water. It's more like a thicker juice or, I can't remember how she described it. But, like, so when the injection is done, you can, like, feel it going in. I'm like, oh, Jesus, I'm about to pass out. Like, it was all types of drama. And so I got over that. And it hurt for, I want to say a day or two. So the site, like, it was very painful. So then the next week, of course, it's time for OC to do it. And he like, man, why did I sign up for this? I'm like, dude, you got to do it. Like, we're hundreds of miles away from home. Like, we can't just walk into somebody's doctor's office and ask them to give me this injection. Like, you got to do it. And not even thinking, like, we were at his best friend's house, and his mom is a nurse. So she could have very well did it. Or we could have asked her if she could do it. Like, his mom is a nurse, his wife is a doctor. Like, but I'm like, I didn't want to ask them. One, I didn't think about his mama. Like, it just did not dawn on me. But his wife, like, I don't know. I didn't think, I didn't feel like she would really be comfortable with it, honestly. So I didn't ask her. So, no big deal, no harm, no foul. He did it and it was fine. That first one, like, he did it better than the nurse. The second one, which was the third injection, was absolutely horrible. Like, I felt like I was dying, like, the entire time. And even a few days after, like, I told him, I said, I think you might have hit my sciatic nerve because this hurts. And he's like, babe, for real? And I'm like, yeah, for real. Like, this really, truly hurts. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, the next time I'm going into the doctor's office to have it done. So I told him, I was like, so for the weeks where I have to go into the office, I'll just make sure that it's on a Thursday so she can give me the injection or whatever. So that was that Thursday, which was like July, the 5th of July. And we were coming home on, We came home on the 6th, I think. Yeah, we came home that Friday. And so, we got home and this was a road trip, so it was a very long trip. And on the 12th is when our anatomy scan was, well, I say air quotes, it was still an anatomy scan because they did like the full measurements of everything just to make sure that the baby was on track. And that's when we were supposed to find out the gender. Well, in this anatomy scan, of course, she checked the length of my cervix and checked the length of my cervix because that's what they were doing in every appointment. And then she was looking at baby. So in this appointment, my son was in there because this is the one where we were supposed to find out. So we had planned for him to be in the room with us. Well, she does like the cervical checks, and she's like, we'll come back to that because she said I need to look at it again. So then I knew something's wrong. Like, you don't come back to something if everything is okay. So I was like, man, like, so of course, like the whole scan, I'm not really paying attention because I just want to get back to what she's saying or whatever. So then she finishes that part of it, and then she does another check with the probe inside or whatever. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to go get the doctor to talk about everything that's going on or whatever. Because, of course, they don't go into detail with everything that's happening because it's an ultrasound tech. And, yeah, she's trained with high risk and everything, but they generally don't give you information because they might not be able to answer all the questions you may have. Um, so she goes out to get the doctor, and she's like, so you're dilated 1 centimeter. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.